Hey, welcome back to another episode of Ask the Pharmacist. Today, we're going to have a little video about a big topic. Yeah, flu shots. How'd you know? Well, anyway, if you haven't gotten yours yet, then now's the time to do it. And if you're stalling because maybe you've heard some bad things about the flu shot, well then stay tuned because today I'm going to bust some common myths that you may have heard about the flu shot. Let's jump right in. Myth number one. The flu shot can give you the flu. Now, here's the reality. The virus in the flu shot is a killed virus. When you catch the flu from someone, you catch that virus. You don't immediately have the flu. First, that virus enters your body and it will duplicate itself thousands of times or tens of thousands of times. But this virus that's in the vaccine is not alive. It cannot duplicate itself at all, which means that you cannot catch the flu from this inactivated virus at all. It just can't happen. Now, you may not feel great after the shot. It's possible that you might even get a low-grade fever or general muscle aches or fatigue. Those are not common. They do happen. They're usually not very bad, and they usually don't last more than a couple of days. Typically, the most common side effect, if you have any at all, is soreness at the injection site where you got the vaccine. Now, the effectiveness of this vaccine at preventing the flu is about 60%. The effectiveness of this vaccine at causing the flu, 0%. You cannot get the flu from the flu shot. So go get your shots. Myth one, busted. Myth number two. The flu is just kind of like a cold. It's not really that bad. Here's the reality. Look, colds are no fun. We all know that. But the flu is typically much worse, and sometimes it's drastically worse. Now, I'm not going to get into all the statistics of hospitalizations and doctor visits that are caused every year, but according to the CDC, in the United States alone, an average of 50,000 people die from the flu every year. And in the 2017 to 2018 flu season, that number was 80,000. Let me put that into perspective for you. The 2017 to 2018 flu. Took over 79,000 U.S. lives. You remember Hurricane Katrina? It was quite the natural disaster in the United States. It contributed to 1,900 U.S. deaths. The attacks of 9/11, a major tragedy in U.S. history, contributed to about 3,000 U.S. lives lost. Let's look outside the U.S. Remember the Ebola outbreak about 5 or 6 years ago in West Africa that scared the world because this was a disease that we had no vaccine for and no treatment for. So many people who got this died. The death rate from positive cases was just absolutely tremendous. Ebola outbreak claimed 11,300 lives. This terrified the world. And it was 11,300 lives lost versus the U.S. alone, 79,000 in one flu season. So we're not getting anywhere even close to flu's death rates. Looking at U.S. natural disasters, terrorist attacks, and worldwide epidemics. So let's get some different numbers. How about the number 397,000. This number is the number of U.S. deaths from the flu and complications of the flu in the past 9 years. 9 flu seasons, 397,000 U.S. deaths. Even if we're tied in this next upcoming flu season, this year's flu season, if we tie for the lowest death rate in the past 10 years, our 10-year total will still end up being 409,000. If we compare that to another number, 405,000. This number is the number of U.S. deaths from World War II. So the flu has killed more people in the United States, almost certainly, in the past 10 years than World War II. And the biggest problem about it is we have a vaccine for this one. This myth is definitely busted. Myth number 3. The side effects from the flu vaccine can be worse than the flu itself. I'm not going to give you any new stats here, just going to remind you of one. Deaths from the flu in the past 9 years, 397,000. Deaths from the flu shot in the past 9 years, 0. Myth busted. And myth number 4 is that pregnant women should not get the flu shot. Now the reality here is that pregnant women are actually at higher risk for complications of the flu than they were before they were pregnant. So it's even more important for pregnant women to get vaccinated. And contrary to what you may have heard from people outside the medical world, the flu shot is not harmful to the pregnancy. But getting the flu can be, and it has been linked to miscarriages. So that one is busted. Myth number 5. Now some people will tell you that there are harmful ingredients in the flu shot. There's not. I mean, the reality here is there's just not. There are going to be ingredients in the flu shot that you won't understand what they are or why that they are there. I'll put a link in the description to an FDA website that kind of explains why we need some of those there, but it's still really not going to tell you what they are. And unless you want to go out there and get a chemistry degree, and you probably don't, because let me tell you, chemistry was not fun, just understand that these things are necessary. They've been there in billions of shots that have been given to people. They have never been linked to any problems. They are safe. Most of them are actually already in your body, or they're in foods that you eat, and you're getting much, much smaller amounts from the vaccine than were already in your body to begin with. So to think that it's harming you is just not true. Now there are people out there who have said that some of these things are harmful. They put it on websites and forums and other things, and you may have seen some of that or heard of some of that. But the thing to remember is that these people are not qualified to make that determination. So before you listen to any of this, talk to your doctor, talk to your pharmacist, talk to someone who's actually qualified to give you this information, and they will tell you that these vaccines are safe and that you definitely should get them. This myth is definitely busted. Okay, so once again, I've gone a little longer than I expected. Sometimes it takes longer to get these points across than I thought it would. So I'm just going to do one more. Myth number 6, and this is one I've heard a lot. People say, I don't need to get the flu shot because I don't get the flu. And well, it's true, there are a lot of people that go quite a few years without getting the flu, even without vaccines. But it's much safer to go quite a few years without getting the flu because you got the vaccine. Then you have the insurance that you're probably not going to get sick. And if you remember, I told you in 2017, almost 80,000 people died from the flu. Most of those people were unvaccinated. And I'm sure there were a lot of those people in that group that thought the same thing. They thought, I don't usually get the flu, so I don't need the vaccine. That's why I say it's important, because you never really know what's going to happen. And it's just not something that should happen, that a vaccine we have available to prevent a disease is not being used, and so many people are getting this disease and dying from it every single year. And it's not just the person getting the vaccine, because the flu is spread from person to person. So everyone who gets vaccinated doesn't just protect themselves, they protect the people who are around them. It's called herd immunity. And by giving more people in the herd, or the population really, the vaccine, you're protecting not just them, but everyone. So the more people who get vaccinated in a given year greatly reduces the number of people who get the flu and get sick and potentially die from the flu. So this is one of those things that is very important both for you and for those people around you, especially your family and your friends, that you get the vaccine. It's so simple to do. I mean, just go get it. So if you haven't gotten yours yet, I mean, click the like button, click subscribe, and go get your flu shot. And I'll see you next time.